All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for our parent evening virtually. This is a presentation geared for our fifth grade families. We wanted to extend another opportunity just to go over a few more things for you as you guys think through and you consider your transition to middle school at Sperreng Middle School here in Lindbergh. I am Lauren Boger. I am the principal here. And if you guys want to unmute and introduce yourselves and tell everybody here who's tuning in who you are, that'd be great.
All right, I'm Clint Walker, one of the assistant principals at Sperreng.
I'm Patrick Dempsey. I am one of the other assistant principals at Sperreng.
Hello, Aaron Swadish. I will be the sixth grade counselor next year at Sperreng.
Awesome. So just a few other familiar faces that you will see at Sperreng and people to become familiar with. We'll go through a few slides here. Like I said, I'm Lauren. Feel free to email anytime or, after tonight if you still had questions, and we'll get you set up with the right person. Dr. Clint Walker, assistant principal. Mr. Patrick Dempsey, assistant principal. Dr. Bednarik, she is our gifted education coordinator for LEAP and PEGS, and Erin Lynch, our SSD process coordinator. Next slide, please. And there is our wonderful guidance department as Mr. Swadish wave. Mr. Swadish will be the sixth grade counselor, but you can also just become familiar with the whole department. We're all here to help. Mrs. Marie Schmidt will be seventh grade counselor, and Miss Tina Christinell, eighth grade counselor. Next slide, please. And this slide here is probably, as families and students, if you are tuning in, these are some of the most important people in the building. So people that you definitely want to contact, reach out if you need help. And we'll just start in the top left. That is Miss Schaefer. She is my administrative assistant. So she helps with quite a few things, such as PTO, appreciation days, budget things, and really just helps me on a day-to-day basis stay organized, as well as my calendar and all that good stuff. On the top right, you have Mrs. Donna Buchart. She is the administrative assistant to our assistant principal. So you will definitely see her in our main office. If you come through the commons, you'll see her smiling as she would greet you coming into the principal's office. Sarah Doza, she is our guidance secretary and registrar. So a lot of times over the summer, there might be families, or if you're new to us at Sperreng, you might be reaching out to her for specific questions. Often you will see grades and like report cards emailed, and they come from Sarah Doza. Joy Sauter is our front receptionist. So she also handles our attendance. So a lot of times families call up to school and they often speak with Joy about attendance. You'll also see her if you're bringing your students something up, or if they forgot their instrument at home, different things like that. She is at our front desk. She's our receptionist. And then Kathy Page, she is also in the building. She's our gifted secretary and works with LEAP and PEGS. Next slide. All right, so tonight we're just gonna kind of keep it brief, but want you to get the most important information. You may have heard some of this before, but again, just being new to middle school, it's always a great idea to hear things more than once so that you feel confident and ready to go for middle school. Again, your pilots this evening are myself, Dr. Walker, and Mr. Dempsey. We're going to go through kind of each take a section this evening, and my portion is staying connected and the importance of communication. Curriculum and schedule, Dr. Walker will go over that as well as some updates with our schedule as we look to next year after going through the middle school redesign process. And then we also have counselor Q&A with Mr. Swadish, and Mr. Dempsey as well, I think, has a pretty awesome slide and video link even to show us about parent drop-off. So as we go through, I think Mr. Davitt has set up the Q&A portion as well. So you can post to the Q&A. And if we don't get to your question right away, we will definitely with Mr. Swadish there at the end in his session. Okay. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so staying connected, I can't emphasize enough as you navigate the world of being a middle school parent. Some of you might be return parents. Some of you maybe your first time having a middle schooler. I can't emphasize enough the significance to stay connected. For some reason, sometimes there's a misconception when our children come to middle school versus maybe elementary, and reaching out to your teachers at elementary level of, oh, maybe they're in middle school and we don't need to do that as much. And I couldn't argue against that mindset, because in middle school, your student is navigating having multiple teachers, their executive functioning, their organization, things like that are all new for them. So us communicating together is so important. Ways that you can do that, obviously you can email. Students can access through a learning management system called Canvas. So we'll talk about that in a minute as well, but Canvas is something we'll get you guys familiar with if you haven't already gotten to see that a little bit, possibly in elementary school. And then just honestly, picking up the telephone and calling 729-2400 at extension 2400. So I really appreciate a phone call if something's on your mind. If you're wondering or curious about something, I really encourage you to reach out and give us a call. We can build relationships that way. And just the two-way communication on the telephone is so important to making sure that we're building successful moments for our kids together. Next slide, please. So you may have heard in Limburg of what we call the 4 C's about communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. So I've kind of outlined what that can look like for us together as families and students. What do the 4 C's look like for us as it comes to together on staying connected? So goals I have for us, to understand today, but then also in your career as middle school parents, communicating honestly, openly, and respectfully, investigating opportunities of collaboration and ongoing feedback, thinking critically together, finding design opportunities for our students, creativity, planning for systems of continuous learning, and parent involvement. So these are what the 4 C's can look like for us together. After this, there is a parent PTO tonight as well. So I encourage you to join there as well. The link is in the e-note, in this week's e-note. If you didn't get that, we can drop it in the chat. Mr. Dempsey, maybe you could find that link from the e-note and we'll drop that in the chat too. But that's another great way of getting involved. Something you also want to note is this image on the top right. These are what we call our compass goals at Sperreng. So you might hear us refer to these as parents in the next few years. We really emphasize goal 1, which is Sperreng life and the climate and culture at Sperreng. Goal 2, instructional innovation and design. So that's forward thinking. That is the designing the future and excellence in learning in our why and our district compass. Best grading practices and personalized assessment. That's just an ongoing look at how we are improving at Sperreng on providing you with ongoing feedback as parents and students on their growth. And then again, goal 4 that we've talked about already this evening, and that's why we're here tonight, is communication. Next slide, please. Inside tips for communication. Some things that we ask as parents and sort of that parental professionalism is to start with the person closest to the situation if you can. So if it's something that you might reach out to the teacher about, we ask that you do that. Two-way communication is key, using social media to stay connected and kind. Updates in your SIS account. So this summer you'll get that where you register and you just double check all your information. We ask that you do that so that all your emergency contact information, maybe your work number, all that stuff is always super current. Using parental professionalism and celebrating success. So we just, social media is a great tool for us. You may be here this evening because you found out about it on social media. And we just use that tool at Sperreng quite a bit, but also we ask of you as parents to use that respectfully and thinking about how it impacts and connects us all. And if it's a kind statement and if it is necessary and inspiring and helpful. So again, just kind of some of the things we ask of that mutual respect together when we talk about using all of our social media sites. Next slide, please. All right, and before we get too far into some of the other slides or into the schedule, we want to make sure you have these dates, because I know once Dr. Walker starts talking a little bit about schedule, you're going to start thinking about some more questions too. So just so you have these on your calendar, we do have in-person fly-up days happening here just in a week. So we've got May 4th, our ARC students will be coming up to the building. If you are an ARC family, I know your ARC teachers have sent out information on this, but just know that you will arrive at 1 o'clock here at school. We'll send out a map and everything like that, but we'll have you dropped off at the cafeteria entrance, and then you'll have a tour and a Q&A panel with students, and all of the groups will get that same format. If you're an ARC family who's choosing to still do this virtually, that is okay as well. We will have a concurrent model for you set up with iPads, and we'll take you on a tour, and we'll have you tuned in so that you can hear the Q&A panel discussion as well. So ARC on the 4th, the 5th is Dressel, the 6th will be Kennerly, and the 7th is Concord. I would ask you, if you're tuning in tonight and you are a new family to us and you haven't reached out maybe to Mr. Swadesh or to Mrs. Doza and you would also like to attend, please reach out to us and we will make sure to make that happen for you. Right, Mr. Swadesh? Okay. All right, and then August 13th, summertime. It is Friday the 13th. We are going to have 6th grade transition day that will be here at the building in person. We plan to do that from about 8 to noon on that day. Plan to have students get their iPads in middle school on that day as well. They will have their schedules in hand, so by then they will be able to walk their schedule, engage in activities with our teachers, as well as student leaders and flight crew, and another chance to take a tour of the building. And then August 23rd is the first day of middle school, 7:40 to 2:40, and drop-off starts at 7:15. Next slide, please. And there's just a lot of communication reminders. There is our phone number here. So if you're tuning in and you want to give us a call, but we just ask that you like us on Facebook, start following us on social media platforms so that you can start to see some of the cool end of the year activities, as well as any summer things happening, especially with transition dates for you guys. Next slide. Next slide, please. There we go. All right, Dr. Walker, do you want to introduce some of our teams here?
Sure. And before I do that, I'll just address a theme in the Q&A. So if you are already on vacation on transition day, my best answer is just contact us in August. Wait for the schedules to come out, see what teachers you have, contact us in August. Transition day is 8 to 12, and they kind of meet their teachers and do some activities, but it's not something that if you're on vacation you should stress out about or lose any sleep over. Just if they want to come up another time, get to know their schedule, we'll work with you. Give us a call after schedules come out, and of course 6th grade teachers will work with them as school begins too. We don't expect 6th graders to know everything on the first day of school, so missing transition day is not something to worry about. Enjoy your vacation if you have a vacation plan. 6 Gold is our 4-person team that you can see that when we talk about teams, we mean math, social studies, science, and ELA. So this is the current 6 Gold team. Next slide. And then our other team, the 6 Green team, has 6 teachers, but kids would have only 4 of them, or maybe this year only 3 of them, because Miss Wright and Miss Belts teach math, science for Miss Belts, and ELA, social studies, for Miss Wright. Next year, we're looking at creating a 4-person team and then a 2-person team or a half team, where the kids that would have Miss Wright and Miss Belts have those two teachers for both subjects. So currently with ARC and in-person and the combo, the only way to do a master schedule would have a 6-person team this year. So that's our 6 green team. Next slide. All right, so I'll get into a sample schedule and some of the terms that you'll hear about a curriculum, like core and team and elective and those kind of things. So next slide. All right, so again, the team classes are what we also refer to as core classes, and those are ELA, math, science, and social studies. They are year-long classes. You have the same teacher, same kids in the section all year long, and those are teamed. And then health, fitness, or otherwise known as PE, is also a daily class, and that is also year-long with the same teacher, same roster, but that is green and gold kids, or gold kids and the half team as well, like all in the same PE class. And then you might hear the non-core classes referred to as electives. You might hear them referred to as encore. You might hear them referred to as just off team or something like that. So the wheel is another word you might hear, is the wheel. So students will get all of those courses in 6th grade unless they do a daily music. So if you do choir, band, or orchestra, that like band is one spot in their schedule. One of their 2 elective hours all year long is band. So then they'll only get 4 of those other non-core classes, one of which will be world cultures, so that they have exposure to Spanish, French, or German as a 6th grader, able to make a decision going into 7th grade if they want to start the language program in middle school or wait until high school. So teams will be randomly assigned. So you'll know your team when you get your schedule in August. It'll say, 6 math, 6 green, or it'll say green or gold on it, or it'll potentially say half team on it if we're able to design the schedule that way this year. And then flyer time flex is a little bit of a change for next year. If you have students that are already in middle school now, you know that flyer time is at the beginning of the day, 23 minutes from 7:40 to 8:03. Well, it's going to move to what we're going to call 4th hour. So after 3rd hour, like flex flyer time will also be referred to as 4th hour. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we have a block schedule. And so that becomes one of the blocks. So instead of a 23-minute long class, it's closer to a 90-minute long class, which is kind of the flex piece of it that allows us to do, we could do all school assemblies during that time. We can do academic support. We can, it's a 90-minute block that we can use in a variety of different ways. Next slide. So speaking of the block, this is our new schedule for the 21-22 school year. So Monday, Tuesday, Friday are very similar to this year's schedule, except for flyer time moves to what we call 4th hour, and it's 23 minutes in the middle of the day instead of at the beginning of the day. But then the block days are new for us next year. And so the odd blocks meet 1, 3, 5, 7 meet on Wednesday, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 being flyer time flex, meets on Thursdays. So the 6th graders, they go to electives 3rd and 8th period. So on a Wednesday, they'll have a core class, then an elective, and then 2 core classes. On Thursday, they'll have a core class. Everybody in the building will have flyer time flex. They'll have 1 more core class, and then an elective to end the day. And you can see that on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, 6th grade is eating lunch 12:28 to 12:53. If you have any current students at Sperreng, that's actually currently our 8th grade lunchtime. 6th and 8th grade lunch are flip-flopping next year. So 6th grade has the end of the day lunch shift, and you can see basically the same time on the block day. It's just 5 minutes later on the block day. All right.
Dr. Walker, there is one thing that I just want to point out, especially if you're a family who has had a middle school student come through, or this is, another kiddo you have coming up to us. An important thing to point out here is that flyer time is in the middle of the day. So which means being on time and that kind of stuff is going to be a big deal for us. So 7:40, I mean, you may have a student that starts off with math, first hour. So we just really want to make sure that you kind of point that out and in your own family routines. I think flyer time, we've been flexible over the years with like just making sure everyone comes in and gets settled, but we just need to make sure that we point that out for our families and work with you guys on any routines to start the day off well in first hour.
Next slide. All right, so this would be a sample of a first semester schedule. So first and second hour core classes, the electives, which are third and eighth hour, are quarterly. So if you currently have a student at Sperreng, we do 8A B day for a semester. That's 8A B days are going away, and they're going to take 1/4 of elective, and then they'll have a new class second quarter. This, I think, will be very helpful for sixth graders because, for the last 10 years, when they've started sixth grade on the first week of school, they had potentially 9, 10 different teachers because of the 8A B day electives. So this time, they'll have this student would have world cultures and digital literacy on the first day of school and throughout the whole first quarter, but they wouldn't meet their art teacher or their drama teacher till second quarter when they no longer have those other two classes. So you're not juggling as many classes at one time. You still get the same amount of classes over the course of the school year. You just don't have to have them all at one time. They meet daily for a quarter instead of 8A B day for a semester. So this is an example on the left of a student who did not select a daily music. So they would get first semester, they would get 4 different electives, one first quarter and third hour, and then one first quarter, eighth hour, and then a new one second quarter, third hour, and a new one second quarter, eighth hour. If you have band will meet all third hour, all 4 quarters, or you could have band eighth hour. It's by instrument choice. So this would just be an example of a band student who is a percussion or brass player, then they would be third hour. If you're a woodwinds, you would be eighth hour, or if you're a choir student or an orchestra student, you would have eighth hour. But I just wanted to represent that you have that daily music choice all year long. So then you would only have opposite that of the day 4 electives for the whole year. You get 2 first semester, 1 first quarter, 1 second quarter. You get 2 new ones second semester. So that's one of the choices you make between 5th and 6th grade is whether or not to do a daily music. And by choosing that, then you don't have as many spots for the whole elective wheel. But again, everybody will get world cultures no matter what. So they have exposure to the languages before they make a choice for 7th grade.
Couple things there too, as you're looking, Dr. Walker. So I know in our Lindbergh elementaries, you might hear like, they call them elective blocks or your block days, that kind of stuff. So just in that frame of mind, your elective times are third hour and eighth hour. Okay, so you're always going to have your electives either third or eighth. PE or health and fitness here is not always 7th hour. It could fall in other places throughout the day. So not all 6th graders are going to PE 7th hour. Just it falls up throughout the day. Okay, and just if there are kiddos who are students who are tuning in, just know the same holds true for your other classes. So just because it says 6th grade math first hour doesn't mean that we're all in math class first hour. You could have any of your classes first hour, your core classes or PE during those core times. Okay. And just while we're talking about PE, it might come up later as in the Q&A, but for PE, students will not be dressing out next year. So they need to dress accordingly with tennis shoes daily for health and fitness. And your teachers will be sending you reminders on that. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good reminder too about teams. I think there's a lot of misinformation about like what it means to be on the same team. So just because you and your best friend are on the gold team next year, it doesn't mean you have any classes together, that you could have all four of those teachers at different times than each other, but you might have four electives together that aren't teamed. Like you really, the importance of being on a certain team together, I think it's greatly overemphasized. And the lunch is not teamed. I mean, you can sit by who you want at lunch. You might have PE or any other class with other friends of yours. So do not, put a lot of emphasis on whether I fell on the gold team or the green team or the half team, because it doesn't mean as much as I think it gets some feeling out there that there is. Next slide. Mr. Dempsey was going to talk about clubs and activities.
Yeah, just to add on to that teams, it's really a great way for teachers to get to know students and build great relationships with them. Because when teachers are on, for example, the green team, they have all the same students. So these are some of our clubs and activities. We know from experience that just students that are involved, have a great chance of developing great relationships inside and outside of school. So any way that your student can get signed up for a club or activity outside of school is a great way to just help them succeed throughout school. So these are some of our clubs and activities. And I know that there are other ones that are added on this list. But for example, these clubs are all run by teachers and staff. So for example, Aaron Swatage runs one of the esports gaming clubs and activities. So just a great way for students to get involved. And up next.
And very few of these are tryouts or high school, like where you have a certain, team or club. Like if there's, if you've never went to environmental club and all of a sudden in March of next year, you're like, oh, I really wish I had been going to environmental club, show up for it, right? It's not something that you have to have done since September. And not all of these clubs meet year round. I mean, we communicated on announcements, we communicated in the e-note, we share through flyer time what's going on. But most of these are seasonal. They're not all year long, but also most of them don't have any kind of tryouts. Just a handful of them have actual teams or tryouts.
All right, and we can go to the next slide. And we have Mr. Swatage for some Q&A.
Yeah, so if anybody has some general questions about the counseling office, what we do, or how things work there, I'm happy to answer those questions. But if you have something more personal, please just you can shoot me an email or give me a phone call, and I'm usually back with you in less than 24 hours.
Right. And then additionally, we have so many resources to help support you as families and as students. We have our principals, SSD area coordinator, Erin Lynch. Her picture was on one of the first slides. Our director of gifted, Tracy Bednarik. Our counselors, our 3 counselors, social workers, team teachers, elective teachers. Each student has a flyer time teacher. Our Nurse Illig, who's been wonderful this year and in a COVID year. We have our school resource officer, Officer Kriska, and really any adult in the school. So we have support staff, custodians, cafeteria staff, building assistants, bus drivers. We are all here to help. Next slide, please. So these are some of our commonly asked questions. Sometimes we get questions like, will I get tardies for school or to class? This year, we did not use lockers. We actually allowed students to bring their backpacks. And I'm pretty sure we're going to continue that again next year. We found a lot of great, things for kids with that, including the flow of the hallways. Kids are on time to class. They are organized, and they have iPads this year, so they don't tend to have as much stuff. We did use some locker checkout with Mr. Weiss and band. So he did utilize some of the lockers down towards the band room. So that is something that we are planning on doing again next year, is utilizing backpacks so students can be organized. Lunch this year has definitely looked different with social distancing. Students have individual like little TV tray desks, and they are 6 feet apart while they are eating. So they do fit in there. So, next year we are planning to have school with tables again. We're hoping that we can have tables again so that students can sit with their friends. We also have kind of a bonus area with the cafeteria. The way the layout is, when you come into the building for your tours, you'll see we have a very large cafeteria, but we also have access to outside. So often students in nice weather like today, they can go outside after they eat. And in years past too, we've had checkout systems so they could like check out a basketball and go outside. We don't necessarily call it recess, but it's definitely an outdoor break time after they get done eating. So I know everyone really enjoys getting out and getting some fresh air there. As far as where do I go and how do I navigate the building, we are definitely going to help with that on a daily basis. On the first few weeks of schools, teachers are out in the hallways and they help take you to your elective classes, especially. Most of the time finding the class on team is right in the same pod or in the same proximity. So, but teachers will escort you down to, let's say, down to the fax room, which is off the cafeteria. So don't worry about that. Kids figure it out so quickly. That the building does seem large, but it's kind of like a stacked cake, like 3-tier cake on top of each other when you kind of think about it, in 6th grades upstairs, and then electives are upstairs, and then there's a few on the main floor as well. So no worries about navigating the building. I don't know, Mr. Dempsey, did you have any other tips for tours or how to help kids navigate the building?
Yeah, so we do have a virtual tour that is available. You're welcome to email me and I can give access to that, and we may give access to that again once we get closer to August. Just, it was one way during a pandemic year that we just gave students and families connections to the building, and one way that students could learn how to navigate the building, and we'll make that available again to families this year.
Okay, next slide. So a couple other things that we hear about are homework. How do we navigate homework? What about parent drop off? We kind of did the after school activities. Homework in 6th grade is pretty minimal. We definitely have seen success this year, even during the pandemic, of students engaging in their work, but teachers do a great job of notifying you guys and sending out like a weekly agenda, and they are using those Sunday announcements on Canvas to let you know what assignments are coming up. We will have Canvas as a part of our back to school transition day. So when you guys come August 13th, you'll kind of get a little Canvas tutorial, and then teachers that first week of class, every teacher walks students through how to navigate Canvas. And we, in years past, have done things called launch days so that you actually get to go to different sessions during those launch days and get to know your iPad, get to know Canvas, and just really feel confident with navigating things in person, but then also with some of the electronic systems and learning management systems that we have. What's different from elementary school to middle school? I would just say you have more teachers, and you transition more often from class to class, which does require a little bit more organization, but it's also a great way to get up and get moving, to take breaks, to have class with different people, to make new friends. So that's, I would say, that social component and really getting to know new people is a really big change from elementary to middle school. I don't know, Dr. Walker, Mr. Sweatish, or Mr. Dempsey, you guys want to add in any other thoughts here on parent concerns or things they might be thinking about?
Sure. I mean, so we housed fifth grade for a year, several years ago while they were building Dressel. And I noticed that they walked fifth graders everywhere they went, that fifth graders were never without an adult. So it is definitely a difference because your first hour English teacher is not going to walk you to PE. You got to get from, the second floor back to PE. Maybe the first day they will, but there is independence. There's, stairways to navigate and hallways to navigate. And there will be ups and downs with decision making from day to day in a sixth grader's life. And it's okay that they make some mistakes with some of that independence. We don't expect that kids are perfect all the time. Like, we give them that independence. It's appropriate for their age, right? Like, we can't keep them as elementary school students all their lives, even if you want to. So we have to let them grow up and make mistakes and experience middle school. But they learn how to be more socially responsible. They learn how to be more responsible with academics by having more teachers. And that's how, they develop and grow and get and move past being fifth graders. So it's exciting to work with sixth graders and see all that growth.
It is. And Dr. Walker, I feel like you're speaking to me because my youngest is in fifth grade. So we will have our third middle schooler come through Lindbergh Middle School. So it is an exciting time. And I know the kids, if they're tuning into, are excited for a new transition as well. Next slide, please. All right. Mr. Dempsey, you want to talk tech a little?
Yeah, so these are just a couple online resources that we think are great for parents to have on their devices, be that a phone, a tablet, a computer. And the Tyler SIS, that's a great tool to use to kind of see the final grade. If you want to see the quarter grade or, the progress report grade kind of in the middle of the quarter, Tyler SIS is the place to look for that. Also, any lunch balance or attendance, things like that, kind of the official school record. And then Canvas is it's a learning management system where students complete assignments, turn assignments in, and then receive feedback from their teacher. And, through a variety of different ways this year, we've kind of discovered that really having parents check their child's Canvas and seeing that to-do list on the child's Canvas app on their iPad is really the best way for parents to keep up with, are there any missing assignments? Is my child totally caught up on their work? What's the feedback before the end of the quarter? Just seeing that through your students' view on their Canvas app, on their iPad, and having that conversation is really the best way to go about that. But if you ever do have questions about, a child's grade, you can always reach out to the teacher. But, getting that sixth grader responsible for their work sometimes does involve conversations and looking through Canvas with your child is a good kind of regular practice to get in. Let's go to the next slide. This is just a video about parent drop-off. I see a question in the chat. What time is drop-off? So drop-off in the morning. School starts at 7:40. Currently, students can arrive around 7:15, and we'll probably keep close to that time next year. And students can stay in the cafeteria or the gymnasium until the bell rings, and they can start to transition to that first hour class. And then pickup is at 2:40. The best kept secret is really just to pick your child up either at the Concord Farmers Market or at the church right next door off Tesson Ferry. Those are great spots because, as you can imagine, over 900 students leaving the building at once. We have buses, walkers, and parent pickup kind of picking your child up a little further away from the building can be helpful for that traffic flow.
Yeah.
I'll post the link to this video in the chat so you can access that. It just goes into a little more detail about parent drop off and pickup.
And also, I question sometimes that we get in transitioning from elementary to middle, is that we do not use like an app, or I think in elementary it's like Pick My Kid or something like that. We don't have an app that you use. Literally, we have been dismissing due to COVID. We've been dismissing via intercom in kind of different groups. But students are dismissed, and then we have crossing guards that help if they're walking or riding their bike. Grandpa Steve from Concord is one of our rock star crossing guards, along with Terrell Baker, Officer Baker. They help us outside. Officer Kriska is outside. Administrators and staff are all outside helping, and drop off and pick up are in the same location. So I don't know, Mr. Devitt, can we show this video? It might be very helpful because just the visual is really important to kind of see, what do I do on the first day of school?
So I'll play the video now.
Thank you. Oh, look, it's Lindy.
So one thing we would like to share with you is parent drop-off and pickup procedures.
When dropping off students in the morning, please enter the lot from Concord School Road at the entrance nearest the Farmers Club. We will form 2 lines and proceed to the drop-off zone, which on the lot is marked with white stripes. Please do not drop students off along the driveway. It is not safe if they're crossing there. Please drop them off at this designated zone. You will exit through the middle of the lot. You may go left or right any time of day. Also, please pull up to the front of the drop-off zone so that several cars, hopefully 6 to 8 cars, can be dropping off at one time.
So in review, form 2 lines at the entrance closest to the Farmers Club. Do not let your student out of the car until that designated drop-off zone, pulling to the front of that zone. And do not use the parking lot in front of the building during drop-off and pickup time, as that is reserved for our buses.
So again, with pickup after school, same procedure. We form 2 lines at the entrance clear nearest to the Farmers Club. You may use the parking lot as well on that side of the building to wait for your student. If they are, please do not hold up the line waiting for one student. Please circle through the lot and get back in line for everybody's convenience. And then do not use the parking lot in the front of the building. The Tesson Ferry side of the building is for the school buses. So please reserve that area for school buses.
And since you have watched so far in the video and you've watched until the end, we'll give you a pro tip at the end of the day. With so many students being let off campus at the same time, there are many parents that choose to pick up at the Southside Church of God and the Concord Farmers Club. Both of these parking lots are acceptable for pickup.
Yay.
Another subject we would like to talk to you about today is how to safely walk or ride a bike to school, and the same thing after school, how to safely walk home or leave campus by bike. You can see on the slide, we have 2 blue stripes. Those are the designated crosswalks. An administrator, police officer, or building staff will assist students after buses have left campus. We leave the patio area and walk down to the light and then cross with the crosswalk, again, assisted by a principal, a police officer, another Sperreng teacher, staff member. Please talk to your students about the safety of this. It is very dangerous to cross Tesson Ferry Road, as you have really 5 lanes of traffic there. You also have 2 lanes of traffic and a lot of parking lots at entrances and exits up on Concord School Road. Neither one of those roads are safe, nor do they have designated crossing areas, so it is not legal to cross those roads. You need to cross at the light. Please talk to your student about that to keep them safe. We will also talk to them about those procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Devitt. So again, I know that is a kind of a funny video. We had some fun with Lindy in our video, but it is very important to having a successful and safe start to the school year. I know that, you know, when you think about it, and we have hundreds of families dropping off in the morning, it does go very smooth and it goes very well. When everybody kind of knows the plan. For example, today the high school was still in their virtual Monday, so it was just us on the buses. That you should note that our middle schoolers and our high schools do ride the bus together. I can tell you that it goes very well. So I know that that's on your mind as a parent. It really does go well. They you know, just show their character and their strengths each and every day. We don't have, you know, office referrals or things like that coming to us with high schoolers sharing spaces on the bus. But today, you know, drop off was smooth. Things went well. You know, and like I said, if you ever have any questions or you have a unique need with drop off or pickup, just let us know. But you'll see more information to come closer to summer there as well. Something that we have done in the past, Colin, could you do next slide, please, for me? I think that may be it. Something just to note though, on that transition day, things we have done in the past, and we're just getting final clearance here and we'd like to plan, but on the 13th of August, that Friday from 8 to 12, that is the time that the students will be here. We have also offered parent academy sessions in years past where we have parents come into the building and we have different stations or rotations for you to go through as well. So if you want to mark that date on your calendar, that morning of the 13th, that would be great. We just need to get some COVID clearance there to make sure we can have that large of a group and adults in the building at once. But we do plan on having a parent academy again, so that, you know, you guys will obviously ace the parent drop off and pickup section of the academy, but we will have Canvas supports, iPad supports, technology, different things like that, navigating a schedule, and hopefully get to give you a tour in person as well on that date. So we do plan on that, having Parent Academy on the 13th. So look for more information there. Mr. Dempsey, Dr. Walker, Mr. Swadesh, do you have any other updates or anything I forgot this evening to share?
Oh, there's one thing in the Q&A that other parents might be interested about. So the question was about if my student rides the bus some days, but his parent pick up other days, is there a communication with the school? And no, there's not. Like we have a bell rings at 2:40. We say, you know, be safe, have a good afternoon, and everybody leaves to where they're supposed to go to. There's nothing that, you know, for a classroom teacher or for us designates bus riders from parent pickup. They have to go to the right place to get on a bus or to get picked up by their parents. So just make sure that your students know what they're supposed to do, because there will not be one of us telling them, hey, by the way, Joe, you're supposed to get picked up today. Or, you know, obviously if it's a last minute change, you call the office, say, hey, I really need Joe to ride the bus today. He thought I was going to pick him up. Of course, we'll, you know, help you and communicate that to him and stuff. But there is not a process or a procedure for different types of dismissal. Everybody leaves at one time.
I know there was one question that came through about summer band. We can send this back out to you guys just with some frequently asked questions and reminders too. But summer band for incoming 6th grade students for Sperreng and Truman, that will be held as planned this summer. Mr. Weiss did let me know that. So there are different sections. So beginning brass. So if you're a trumpet or trombone, the dates are June 7th through July 1st, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9:30. Section 1B, he's calling it, which is percussion, drums, and xylophone, is June 14th through June 24th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday, and June 28th through July 1st, 8 a.m. to 9:30 Monday through Thursday. And then there's a section 2, which is beginning woodwinds, flute or clarinet, June 7th through July 1st, 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday through Thursday. So like I said, I'll send that out to you. You can tell it's a PDF that Mr. Weiss sent to me. So I'll resend that out. It is at Lindbergh High School, band rooms and auditorium. You'll get to meet new friends, try out band and learn your instrument. And there is a cost. So it's $120 for one class section, $180 for two class sections. So we'll send that back out to you, but I know that's a commonly asked question that we get, and it is a go this year. They were unable to do it in person last year. So that is something that we are planning on doing. So once again, we will send out our slides and resend information to you guys. We look forward to seeing the students. If you guys are tuned in, we look forward to seeing you next week and on our Fly Up Day sessions. And then please mark your calendars for August 13th, Friday the 13th. We're looking forward to having you guys in person for a transition day. And, you know, like I said earlier, I will have my third student, my own third student, transitioning to middle school next year. And I just know we're going to have a great time together. We're just really looking forward to having you guys and being a part of Sperreng and in our transition plans. And I know you're very excited, and so are we to see you. And just email us, any of us, if you have any further questions. I know tonight's webinar went quickly, so if you think of a question after, don't hesitate to reach out. And something we say each and every day on the announcements is take flight, and we look forward to taking flight with you into middle school. So thank you guys. Thank you for a wonderful evening. Take care.